Chapter 100. What happened to Fay Yulang? The phone slid through his fingers and landed on the floor. A voice could still be heard on the other end. Yuliang's phone is not reachable. What happened to you guys in there? Xiaozhu, can you hear me? Zhu Janning, are you all right? Talk to me? Of course, Zhu Janning could hear him, but at that moment he had lost the power of speech. His pupils rolled back, and Zhu Janning slithered to the floor like wet laundry. Didn't I warn you not to take pictures and videos inside the haunted house? Why didn't you listen? Chen Ge removed his mask and placed it inside his pocket. He glanced at Zhu Janning, who was convulsing on the floor, and he had a renewed appreciation for the disclaimer agreement. His scare tactics were different from other haunted houses. Normal haunted houses had actors pretend to be ghosts who hid in the blind corner to scare the visitors with sudden screams and shouts. Chen Ge's tactic was different. His focus was on the creation of the atmosphere, and he allowed the visitors to walk into the scare on their own. The whole process was foolproof and could not be detected earlier. Even when the visitors were already prepared, they would still be scared. Zhu Janning was the perfect example. The fear inside his heart, which had no place to release, was like an ice cube lodged in his throat, stopping his breath and chilling his bones. Chen Ge exited the third cubicle, picked up the phone, and slid it inside Zhu Janning's pocket before dragging the man out of the toilet and depositing him in the corridor. Why haven't the spasms stopped? But he's still breathing, so he should be fine. Chen Ge applied pressure to the man's temples, and when Zhu Janning's pupils regained focus, he said, "Can you hear me? Where is your friend who came in with you?" There was no answer, so Chen Ge had to give up on the man. "Stay put, or else you might run into an actual ghost." He was afraid that he might scare the other person dumb as well, so Chen Ge removed his bloodied outfit and carried it in his arm. This man came running out from the female dormitory, so his friend should be there. Chen Ge ran toward the dormitory, but even after he searched through all the bedrooms, he could not find Fay Yulang. Where did he go? He stopped at the room with the pen spirit. The pen that he had fixed with tape was broken once more and was lying on the floor. There is no sign of fighting in the room, so where could the bespectacled man have gone? Chen Ge exited the female dormitory and reached the junction. Could he have gone down the other way? The other route led to the deep well and school office. The road was uneven, and after passing several offices, Chen Ge finally found Fay Yulang. The man's condition was even worse than Zhu Janning's. There was white foam around his lips, and his glasses were shattered. However, the most curious thing was that he was lying near the well at the end of the corridor with one of his hands holding the edge of the well like he was going to haul himself into it. What in the world happened to this guy? Looks like he has angered more than just the pen spirit. There was no surveillance in this new scenario, so Chen Ge had no idea what had happened to Fay Yulang. Looking at the man's worse-for-wear condition, Chen Ge very kindly checked his pulse. The man's condition is very similar to Hassan's when he first visited the haunted house. I'd better get him out of here first. After wasting plenty of energy, Chen Ge finally managed to drag the two to the scenario entrance. Prying open the wooden boards, he just finished dragging the two onto the first floor when he heard the sound of an argument coming from outside the haunted house. It sounded like the people from Qinguang's studio were attempting to barge into the haunted house. So much trouble today. With one arm under each visitor, he dragged the two out of the haunted house. Chen Ge dropped Fay Yulang and Zhu Janning before the people from Qinguang's studio. His eyes scanned the lot of them as he demanded, "What is the commotion about?" Two lively, vibrant men had walked into the haunted house, and two lifeless husks had come out. One of them was even foaming at the mouth. Did he get scared until he vomited? The surrounding crowd immediately took a step back to clear a space for them. "Xiaozhu! Yuliang!" The people from Qinguang's studio immediately rushed over to help them off the ground. Zhu Janning was recovering. He now responded to others at least, but his legs were still weak. The serious case was Fay Yulang. He was not unconscious because his eyes were wide open, but he did not respond to people calling his name. His expression was blank, and the white foam continued to trail out of the corner of his lips. "What have you done to the both of them?" the middle-aged man demanded angrily. "Why would you ask me? How would I know?" Chen Ge was being honest. When he entered the scenario, The two were already in such a state. We talked to each other earlier. Xiaozhu said that your employees stepped on Yuliang's shoulders. How dare you allow your workers to assault the visitors? We are definitely going to sue. Who saw my employees assault him? Chen Ge glanced at the two lying on the floor. Feel free to call the police. I can guarantee, other than their own hands, you won't be able to find foreign fingerprints on the rest of their bodies. Stop arguing. I'll call the park's doctor. The most important thing now is to help them. This was such a headache for Uncle Shu. They're in this state, and you still refuse to admit your fault? Thankfully, we came prepared. The middle-aged man opened Fay Yuliang's backpack and pulled out the laptop from within. Then he connected the wireless camera from Fay Yuliang's chest and the audio recorder attached to the backpack to the laptop. Indeed, you people sure came prepared. When Chen Ge was dragging the bodies out of the haunted house earlier, he had already noticed the cameras and could guess the real motive behind why they were there. However, he did not mind it one bit. Other haunted houses banned recording was because they were afraid that their set designs would be leaked. After all, designing a set was incredibly pricey. However, that was not a concern for Chen Ge. He would be given new scenarios after completing trial missions. In terms of the updating speed for new scenarios, no haunted house could rival Chen Ge. From his perspective, the videos collected by these guys were a type of alternative advertisement. After all, what his haunted house was missing most was exposure. You won't be so smug in a bit. I will keep the video of your employees physically assaulting the visitors as evidence, the middle-aged man said loudly, like he was trying to get the attention of the passing crowd. We are absolute professionals. We did not lay a finger on your people. How many times do you want me to repeat that? Chen Ge asked as he wandered over to the laptop. He, too, was actually curious about what happened to Fay Yuliang inside the haunted house and why he ended up next to the well. The middle-aged man straightened the laptop and played the recorded video. The screen was dark, and only random noises could be heard. At the time, Fay Yuliang had not entered the haunted house. The recorder had probably been activated beforehand. The camera had not been taken out yet, so they could only hear noises but could see no image. Several seconds later, Chen Ge's voice could be heard from the computer. Let me remind you, the last person who made a claim like yours came out on his back. Then Fay Yuliang's condescending laugh followed. You've only managed to arouse my interest even more. Chapter 101. Muang High School's Hidden Mission. The sound coming from the laptop was not loud, but everyone could hear him clearly. Everyone turned to look at Fay Yuliang, who was collapsed on the floor with foam on his lips, and their expressions were mixed. The middle-aged man sensed the crowd opinion shifting, so he quickly fast-forwarded. 1 or 2 minutes later, an image finally appeared on screen. Janning and Fay Yulang had officially entered the haunted house. The visitors outside were curious about the interior design. Some even pushed forward, attempting to see the hidden traps and layout. The Muang High School scenario was built underground, so it was very quiet. The recorder picked up the pair's conversation clearly, including how they discussed posting the guide online and hiring a 50-cent army to swamp the haunted house with bad reviews. So, these people are here to purposely create trouble? We almost believed them earlier. The crowd started to mumble, and the middle-aged man had no choice but to fast-forward some more. Due to the lack of lighting, the images were not clear. All they could see was a dim corridor and empty classrooms on both sides, but that was already scary enough. The people from Qinguang's studio did not shoot this video to help Chen Ge promote his haunted house. They were looking for evidence of Chen Ge ordering his employees to assault his visitors. But after 6 minutes of footage, all they could see was Fay Yuliang and Janning being scared on camera. There was not even the shadow of a worker. The people from Qinguang's studio started to get worried, but the visitors were increasingly curious. Such a large haunted house, but they did not have even one employee playing the ghost? Then, how did they plan to scare their visitors? Very soon, the video reached the point where the two were playing the pen spirit game. When Chen Ge heard the familiar question asked by Fay Yuliang, he almost bit his tongue. He finally understood what the pair did that angered the pen spirit so. The video after that was even weirder. Janning suddenly dropped his hand and escaped from the room, while Fay Yuliang started writing madly on the white paper. You will die! You will die! You will die! Looking at the words that appeared on the paper, the surrounding visitors were confused. What is he doing? Mental breakdown? There's no need to trouble the park's doctor. We should call the mental hospital directly. In other words, two of them entered the haunted house, and one of them was scared dumb by his friend? Watching this video, Chen Ge sighed greatly in relief. Other than two victims, only he knew what really happened. The pen spirit must have appeared then, but it was unknown whether it could not be captured on camera or the camera angle was wrong. Regardless, the pen spirit did not show on the video. However, what was recorded was this eerie situation. The video continued to play, and Chen Ge leaned in closer. He was most interested in what happened next. After Zhu Jianing escaped, Fay Yulang was left alone in the room. The man who was scrawling madly on the paper suddenly stopped. The camera was pinned to his chest, and the video stood still for several seconds. Then the image tipped backwards. Fay Yulang seemed to have fainted. No one touched him, right? Yeah, so why did he faint? 10 seconds later, something even weirder happened. The camera angle suddenly moved. Fay Yulang was standing up again. He walked unevenly out of the bedroom. The camera was shaking violently. It felt like the man had forgotten how to walk as he tipped left and right. A fainted person who suddenly stood up and walked on his own. That had never happened before in Chen Ge's years of experience dealing with fainted visitors. This man had probably been taken over by the pen spirit. Chen Ge did not say anything, but his eyes narrowed. Fay Yulang soon familiarized himself with his body. A few seconds later, he picked up his speed, and his gait was no different from a normal person's. When he reached the junction, Chen Ge and Zhu Jianing had just entered the toilet. They had brushed past each other just like that. The pen spirit was trying to escape the haunted house? Chen Ge was spooked by the thought. If not for the incident that happened after this, the pen spirit might have successfully escaped. In the video, Fay Yulang seemed to realize that there were people inside the toilet, so he snuck past the toilet before running toward the sealed classroom. His target was clear. He walked toward the last row and hugged one of the uniforms to his chest. When he was about to leave, he saw the paper box with the 24 name tags Chen Ge left on the lectern. As if remembering something horrible, Fay Yulang deposited the tags on the table hurriedly. After pulling one out and placing it in his pocket, he ran toward the exit. However, before that could happen, the broken door of the classroom closed on its own. Then, the weirdest part of the video occurred. Fay Yulang turned around to yell at the empty classroom. I also treat this classroom as our home, but I have my reason to leave. I have to explain this to Wang Xin. Please let me go. I promise to come back after I'm done. Get away from me. I have to leave today. No one is going to stop me. Fay Yulang maddened screams came from the computer. He yelled angrily at the empty classroom. Let me go! Let me go! The camera kept shaking before falling to the ground like it had been knocked off in a struggle. From that angle, the camera perfectly focused on Fay Yulang's expression, which was changing madly, like there were more than 10 different personalities inside his body at the same time. Several seconds later, the expression on Fay Yulang's face returned to normal, and the classroom door opened. Without a word, he picked up the camera and replaced it on his chest. Then, like a puppet, he walked toward the deepest part of the Muang High School scenario. At that time, Chen Ge's black phone vibrated. He pulled his phone out silently before taking several steps back, but he kept his gaze on the laptop. While all this had been happening, he had been inside the corner toilet. There was only a wall between them, but he had not heard any commotion from the classroom next door. It felt like after the classroom door was closed, the space within shifted to another dimension. The video continued to play. Fay Yulang, who was moving in an awkward way, took deliberate steps toward the well. He stepped on the edge of the well and started to talk to himself. Are we going to jump? I can understand Chen Yalin's pain. She has her own reason. If I were in her position, I believe I would do the same thing. After all, Wang Xin was her best friend. Then, shall we give her another chance? Fay Yulang stepped back down from the well. His expression slowly returned to a blank face, and with a tilt of his head, he collapsed to the floor. Around 4 minutes later, Chen Ge arrived. The camera had recorded everything. The first thing Chen Ge did was perform first aid, and everyone watching the video could bear witness to that. The boss didn't do anything wrong. If anything, he was trying to save your friend. We almost blamed an innocent person. The people from Qin Guang's studio were made speechless. By that time, Chen Ge had retreated to the outer ring of the crowd, and he glanced at the black phone. Dear Spectre's favored, congratulations on triggering the hidden mission at 2-star scenario, Muang High School, the Pen Spirit's Wish.